What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with 7 reasons to avoid getting the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G. Now, just to clarify, I think this phone is an excellent device from Samsung, and as a mid-range device, they really are giving us a lot of value here. That being said though, I have put together a list of 7 different things that I think you're definitely going to want to be aware of prior to getting this device, just to ensure that you won't have any surprises when you end up getting the phone. With all that said though, let's get started. Now the first thing I want to discuss is that there is no charger included in the box. Now as you can see, here's the box the phone does come in, and it does feature a very slim design. And that is of course due to them not needing to make the box big enough to include a charger, since there isn't one actually included. Now Samsung claims that the reason for this is because nowadays most people already have a bunch of different chargers laying around, and definitely for me, I also have a bunch of chargers, as you can see. However, the only problem with this is that the Galaxy A73 5G maxes out at 25 watt fast charging, and most chargers that you're likely going to have laying around are going to charge at a much slower pace than that. For example, pretty much all of these chargers here are either 5 watt or 10 watt. So what that means is that if you're using a charger that you already have, and you don't have a charger that can charge at that full 25 watts, then you're not going to be able to recharge this phone as fast as you're technically able to. Now, the reason why that's a problem is because we're getting a very large 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery here with the phone. So if you want to sit around all day and take forever to recharge the device, then that's great. Go ahead and use one of your older, mostly obsolete chargers. But if you want to actually recharge this phone decently fast, then hopefully you already own a 25 watt fast charger, because if not, you're going to have to go out and buy one. Now I do at least appreciate that Samsung has given us a double-sided USB-C cable, as this is a much better cable than a standard USB-A cable. However, if your chargers that you have laying around are like this, then you're not even going to be able to use this cable with the charger. So again, to clarify, I'm a big fan of fast charging. I'm also an even bigger fan of USB-C. I really don't care for USB-A. I hope it disappears forever. That being said though, I'm pretty sure that most people don't have a USB-C charger laying around. Now moving on to number 2, and that is that the processor that comes with the phone might not be quite as fast as you may be expecting. Now this device, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, is a mid-range phone. Samsung has multiple options that are much more powerful and faster than this device, and that makes sense because that is the purpose of the S series. However, maybe you have an older S series device and you think that you can get away with an A series phone, and most likely you'll be completely fine. However, I think you want to get a good idea of the type of power that you're getting with the processor on this phone. Now this device features the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G 5G processor. So that's great because we're getting 5G compatibility so that you can utilize your carrier's latest and greatest network. And in addition to that, the processor does produce some really good performance here with the phone. The phone has no problem handling the full 120 Hz refresh rate, for example, and many other things run very smoothly as well. So I would say for the majority of the population out there, this phone is going to be plenty fast. However, I did run a test using Geekbench 5, and here are the scores from that test. So I got a single core score of 776 and a multi-core score of 2906. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores, because I definitely wouldn't want you to upgrade to the A73 5G and end up with a phone that's slower than the phone that you currently have. So I guess my point is that this device is plenty fast for the majority of people out there. Just make sure though that it is faster than the phone that you currently have if you don't want to be disappointed about that. The third reason to potentially avoid the Galaxy A73 5G is because there is no 3.5mm headphone jack. Now at this point in 2022, I know a lot of people have moved on to wireless headphones, but at the same time, there still are a lot of people who prefer traditional wired headphones, either because of the enhanced audio quality or because you just already own a lot of wired headphones and you don't want to have to get rid of those and get wireless headphones. So if you are someone that likes to use wired headphones, then just know that at least you can pair up your headphones with an adapter so you can plug into the USB-C port. However, if you are looking for a phone with a dedicated headphone jack, then you are going to have to end up getting something else because this phone simply does not have one. Now the next reason to potentially avoid getting this device is if you're used to using a phone with a stylus. Now I know this might not be relevant to everybody out there. However, there are mid-range devices and of course flagship phones that have styluses built in, such as the Galaxy S22 Ultra, for example. But then on the low end, we have the Moto G stylus, and then also now the new TCL stylus 5G. So having a stylus really can come in handy, and maybe you have an older Galaxy Note device, for example, and you're looking for a stylus. I guess in general, I'm disappointed that Samsung doesn't have any mid-range or lower-end options with a stylus built in, considering that some of their competitors do offer a product of that nature. Now, there are already quite a few reasons to get the A73 5G over the A53 5G, but I feel like if they had included a stylus with this device, it would have given us an even better reason to get this phone over its other mid-range counterpart. So in the future, I would love to see a device in Samsung's A series that actually has a built-in stylus. I feel like that would be something that a lot of people would like and also use. Now coming in number 5, that is that there is no wireless charging with this phone. Now I understand this is a mid-range device, so typically with mid-range phones, wireless charging isn't always present. However, wireless charging has been out for nearly a decade now, and I know that it doesn't cost too much extra to incorporate into devices. This is simply a choice that Samsung has made so that you have a reason to buy one of their more expensive phones. But they easily could have included wireless charging with the Galaxy A73 5G, and it wouldn't really have been much of an issue at all. Now, wireless charging is a feature that I use all the time with various phones that I'm using that actually have it. So if this phone did have that, then I definitely would be getting my use out of it. So you might have an older Android device that has wireless charging, and at this point you're just expecting that any new phone launched in 2022 has it as well. But just know that no, wireless charging is still a feature that is pretty much reserved just for the more top-of-the-line devices from all the various phone manufacturers. Now, Apple does have wireless charging with every phone that they offer. However, they don't really have too many lower-end devices, and I wouldn't really even consider the iPhone SE3 as being a low-end phone, considering that it is relatively expensive. However, that phone is a bit more affordable than this device, and that device does have wireless charging. So I think that is even more of a justification for the A73 5G to have had that, but hopefully we get it with the A74. Now coming in at number 6 has to be the build quality of this device. Now I will give Samsung credit. Considering the phone is made completely out of plastic, besides the display which is glass, the device still does have a nice premium build, and the phone definitely doesn't feel cheap. On the other hand though, if you're used to using devices that have a glass and metal build, then just know that this phone is not going to hold up quite as well over time. I could definitely see this getting pretty scratched up, for example, just due to it being plastic, and I definitely recommend getting some sort of case to put on the phone so that you can keep it looking fresh for a longer amount of time. One thing's for sure though, I'm definitely a fan of this material on the back of the device. I really like that it doesn't pick up any fingerprints at all, and in general, this is a very nice looking handset. And then coming in at number 7, it is pretty disappointing that there is no support for Samsung DeX with this device. Now, there are S-series phones that do support DeX, but I feel like it is time for Samsung to introduce this feature to their A-series phones, and especially some of the higher end ones like this one that easily have the processing power to accommodate it. There's multiple reasons for this. I know that one reason why Samsung is kind of saving DeX for their more premium S-series devices is simply to give you an extra reason to want to pay more for one of those phones. But I feel like to build out the ecosystem behind DeX, they should offer it on more devices, because the more users there are, or at least potential users for DeX, the more that feature is going to kind of expand and become more relevant. I feel like half the reason why DeX hasn't really taken off simply is because there aren't too many devices in Samsung's lineup that actually support it. Now, if you're not familiar what DeX is, essentially it's a desktop mode that Samsung offers with their S-series and formerly Note series devices. Now, the way it works is that you simply plug the device into a display, and then it takes the phone interface and turns it into a desktop interface. So in theory, your phone could be a laptop replacement. Now I feel like this feature especially be relevant for the A series, because if you're already not looking to spend a ton of money on a flagship phone, you're probably also looking to spend money on not having to buy a dedicated laptop. So that might not be the case for everybody, of course, but I definitely know a lot of people that don't really want to spend a lot of money on tech at all, and they want their tech that they're getting to really give them the most value possible. So I could definitely see someone buying an A73 5G and then also wanting to use it in a desktop mode as well. It at least gives people some more options so that they don't have to be completely dependent on having to also buy a laptop. But this concludes my video on 7 reasons to avoid the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G. Again, I think this is an excellent phone from Samsung, so in general, they really couldn't have done things much better than they did, but at the same time, I think these things that I went over in this video are some things that are worth considering, and maybe some of these ideas are things that Samsung might want to incorporate into future versions of this device. So hopefully with the A74, which will be out in a long time from now, things will be even better than what we're getting here with the A73. But I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.